So General James Mattis's assessment of Donald Trump is that he is dangerous and unfit. Let's talk about that, because the future of our republic, like justice, matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So I was going to talk today about yesterday evening's town hall hosted by George Stephanopoulos. It involved only Donald Trump. It was sort of like a one-man debate. He had no opponent there, and yet somehow he still managed to lose. The format involved undecided voters who could ask the president questions that were important to them, that they thought might help them decide who to vote for. And these citizens asked questions like, Mr. President, why, in your own words, did you downplay the danger of the coronavirus, putting us all in harm's way? And they asked him things like, Mr. President, why have you sent DOJ lawyers into court to try to kill the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and its coverage of pre-existing conditions? Why are you doing that, Mr. President? And Donald Trump had no answers. There was some reporting about last night's town hall by CNN that I think summed it up nicely. Quote, President Donald Trump faced life outside his own political bubble on Tuesday, where his self-congratulation, buck-passing, and audacious falsehoods conspicuously failed to meet the moment when he was confronted by undecided voters. So I was going to talk about some of the absurd, nonsensical answers Donald Trump gave to those undecided voters yesterday evening, but instead I want to focus on one thing that has come out of Bob Woodward's new book about the Donald Trump presidency. I read his first book, Fear, and now Bob Woodward's new book about the Trump presidency is called Rage. And I'm just starting it, but there's been a good bit of reporting about some of the conversations Woodward had with Donald Trump, and there is one that I think is of central importance as we move toward Election Day. And it's a quote that is attributed to General James Mattis. General James Mattis, of course, a career military man before being named as Secretary of Defense by Donald Trump. Donald Trump basically vouches for James Mattis's judgment and his intellect and his assessment of things, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have named him Secretary of Defense. And there has been some reporting about what the Woodward book contains regarding General Mattis. Quote, former Defense Secretary James Mattis told then Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats that President Trump was, quote, dangerous and unfit. Mattis, who left the White House at the end of 2018, warned Coats that, quote, there may come a time when we have to take collective action against Trump. That as reported by The Hill. General James Mattis is a thoughtful, circumspect, accomplished, patriotic, career military man and public servant. General James Mattis's perceptions of Donald Trump were formed inside the Oval Office. They're based on first-hand contact with Donald Trump. And James Mattis's assessment of Donald Trump is that he is dangerous and unfit. You know, there was a time when Donald Trump's supporters celebrated and embraced James Mattis, and they were right, because of who James Mattis was and the career, the life that he dedicated to protecting and defending our country against threats, foreign and domestic. And that's exactly what James Mattis did when he said, and I'm sure it pained him to say it, Donald Trump is dangerous and unfit. And folks, we all need to carry James Mattis's words about Donald Trump with us to the polls on November 3rd. Can I turn to a brighter note about justice for just a minute? I received a package today from Scotland, and I knew it was coming. A gentleman had reached out to me, a gentleman named Kenneth. Kenneth is an 80-year-old retired coal worker, a coal miner in Scotland. And he told me that he watches every video that we post on YouTube, and he has for months, and he really appreciated the work we did, and he wanted to make me something to show his appreciation. And it arrived today via FedEx. And what it is it's a shepherd's crook. Now, I would call it a cane or a walking stick, but Kenneth calls it a shepherd's crook, so I'm going to use the proper name. And here is the handle of it. And burned into the handle, Kenneth wrote Ceartas. And I hope I didn't do violence to the Gaelic pronunciation. Ceartas. And I'm told it's pronounced Ceartas. Translated into English, Ceartas means justice. Kenneth sent a note along with this shepherd's crook, and I love some of his observations because from Scotland he watches our national circumstances, and his conclusion is that Trump and company are, quote, a parcel of rogues that are tearing your country apart and are prepared to do anything to stay in power. And Kenneth signs off this incredibly warm, gracious note by saying, please, sir, keep up the good work because justice matters. Receiving this incredible kindness from Kenneth reminded me of something that I feel every day, but I don't articulate all that often. And that is that, in this world, there is so much more kindness than cruelty. In this world, there is so much more decency than indecency. In this world, there is so much more love than there is hate. And on November 3rd, all of that kindness, all of that decency, all of that love is going to go to the polls and is going to vote out all of the cruelty and the indecency and the hate that define our federal government, our executive branch officials, our commander-in-chief, and has defined our government now for 4 years. Why can I say that? Because Ceartas is coming. And Ceartas matters. Thank you, Kenneth. And please stay safe. I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.